Hello and welcome to Legal Angle. Redevelopment is a major issue in the clutter housing market of Mumbai. To deal with this redevelopment as an issue, I have with me Advocate Ankita Verma. Hello and welcome to the show, Legal Angle, Ms. Ankita Verma.
Thank you.
Okay, when can a property be redeveloped?
A property can be redeveloped at any point of time. The only condition is that 75% of the members of the society should be agreeable to it.
Okay, so what are the processes and the documents that will make the process easier?
Well, before 2009, there was no fixed process for redevelopment as such.
Okay.
In 2009, the government of Maharashtra has issued guidelines which says that a committee has to be formed. Okay. A redevelopment committee has to be formed by the society. The documents that the society needs to possess are the original registration certificate of the society, then the original building plans, the OC plans, then the conveyance of the society, conveyance in favor of the society.
Can you highlight us a bit on this conveyance bit?
Conveyance is basically a document which vests the right title and interest in respect of the property with the society. The land basically belongs to a person, right? You enter into a development agreement, so that person comes and constructs your building.
Okay.
Right? But the right in the land is still vested with the owner of the land. The flat purchasers who are coming and purchasing flats in the building are not actually becoming the owner of the land. They are owner in respect. They are not even the owners in respect of the building, but they are owners in respect of shares of the society.
Okay.
So for the society to have the land in their favor, they need to execute a document called conveyance.
Does a society need 100% consent or a 75 or a majority consent for redevelopment?
Well, there was an amendment to Section 79A of the Maharashtra Cooperative Societies Act, under which 75% consent of the members of the society is sufficient for redevelopment.
So that takes me to ask you about the role of project management consultants in the selection of redevelopment.
When we are staying in a society, not a lot of people are completely aware as to how the process goes ahead. So you appoint a project management consultant so that he can guide you through the entire process, as well as he is able to get the best deal for the society in terms of additional area, the corpus fund, the alternate accommodation allowance, etc.
So technically a project management consultant, when he'll come on board, he'll give an entire package.
He'll give you an entire package, as well as he'll keep a check on the developer when the entire building is when the new building is being constructed.
So I think that would benefit our viewers in a much bigger and better way. Well, what are the stages of development in redevelopment?
Well, the first thing the society needs to understand whether it wants to go into redevelopment or not.
Okay.
For that, they need to check whether there is already available FSI on their plot, so that they can negotiate well with the developer in terms of getting additional area. If the society decides that the structure is in a dilapidated condition, or more FSI is available and they can get additional area in terms of the plot, then they can appoint a PMC who will take them through the entire process of redevelopment. But before that, they will have to form a committee that is generally known as the redevelopment committee. And this redevelopment committee will go ahead and finalize on the PMC. Then they will have to call for bids from the developers.
So initially there has to be a redevelopment committee, after which the PMC will come on board.
Yes, generally that is the thing that is followed.
Okay.
It is not necessary, it is not prescribed anywhere in law that there has to be a redevelopment committee and then only a PMC will come on board. The society in general can appoint a PMC. But this is generally how things are done because it's more systematic.
Okay. So for our viewers, you do not need a redevelopment committee and then get a PMC on board, but a PMC can also form a redevelopment committee to get your work smoother. Well, about guidelines that you had mentioned earlier, regulated by the Maharashtra government, is it mandatory to have these guidelines on board?
Well, it is not mandatory as such. What happened was, before 2009, there was not a proper structure for redevelopment that was prescribed. So what Maharashtra government did was, to get more transparency into the entire process, they issued the guidelines. It's for the society to decide whether they want to invite bids by tender, by opening tenders, or they want to directly appoint a developer. However, in the interest of transparency, so that later things do not come up in the society saying this developer would have been better or that developer would have been better, it is always better to invite bids or get at least quotes from at least 4 to 5 developers, so that you can analyze all the proposals and decide what is best for the society.
So for viewers, this is an important piece of information that you need at least 4 to 5 developers on board before you take the critical step in your life. What is the status of the society once the building is demolished?
Well, the society, once registered, stays in existence till the time it is not deregistered. Okay, so once a society has come into existence, it will continue to do so even when the building is demolished. What the society is doing is only granting development rights to the developer. So the society still remains to be the owner of the land. So that doesn't reflect any kind of deregistration or anything of that nature on the society. Okay. Once the new buildings come up, the society, the same society, existing society, takes it forward. The new members who purchase the sale component of the developers are inducted into the same society, and it is carried forward.
Alright. We're going to take a short break and we're going to be back. And when we come back, we're going to talk about the important documents needed in selecting a developer. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Legal Angle, and I am with advocate Ankita Verma. Well, Ankita Verma, I need to know the documents that have to be executed at the time of selecting a developer.
Well, the first thing, the society resolution, that 75%, at least 75% of the members of the society are agreeable to the redevelopment.
Okay.
Then once the developer is decided upon, then you will have to execute a development agreement stating that the plot belongs to you. However, you are giving it for the purposes of redevelopment to the developer. Along with the development agreement, you will also have to execute a power of attorney. So that the developer can apply for the requisite permission sanctions from the necessary authorities, the municipal corporation and other authorities.
So who is this power of attorney that we are talking about?
The power of attorney will have to be executed by the society in favor of the developer, giving it the power to apply on behalf of the society.
So like the final selected developer?
Yes, the final selected developer. You'll have to execute a power of attorney so that he has the power to go to the departments. The file shifts 54, nearly 54 tables. So the society itself wouldn't go and keep on applying for necessary permissions, sanctions, the requisite approvals. So you issue a power of attorney to the developer so that he can do it on behalf of the society.
Okay, and the project management consultant is also going to benefit the society in appointing a developer, wherein the developer gets the power of attorney by the society.
Yes.
Okay, so viewers, see, we are very clear at this point that project management consultant is the basis of the art, wherein you go in for a redevelopment process, after which you go select a developer, and after which the developer gets the power of attorney as sanctioned by the society members. What are the essentials of good agreement development and permanent alternate agreement?
Well, while executing the development agreement, the first and foremost thing that the society needs to bear in mind is they are not parting away with the ownership. They are only giving the development rights to the developer. Okay. So the first thing they have to see is their security as to the timelines when the new building will come up. Second thing, they will be paid hardship compensation. That is, we generally call it the corpus fund. So when is the corpus fund going to be paid to them? What is the kind of rent that will be paid to them? Because they'll have to shift out of the premises.
Absolutely.
So that the building can be demolished.
Correct.
So what is the rent that will be paid to them? it is very important to mention as to the escalation of the rent. We generally have development agreements stating that the building will be completed within 2 years, which is normally the case.
Correct.
However, if it is extended beyond 2 years, the developer is only going to pay you the first 12 months ka check, and then he will pay you the next 12 months ka check. But what after that?
This is the corpus?
This is the rent.
This is the rent. Okay.
Alternate accommodation
So
rent.
when does he pay the rent? Does he pay the rent at the start of the redevelopment?
That depends upon the agreement that you arrive with the developer. Either he can pay it by post-dated checks,
Okay.
or he can pay by probably first 12 months in advance and then post-dated checks for the next 12 months, and then provide ki if it is delayed, then for the next 12 months or for the next 6 months, he'll be paying it in the 11th month.
No, usually what is the process of rent paying to the society members by the developer?
It is exactly the society, the members need to bear it in mind that they need to secure themselves for at least the first 12 months.
Okay.
So please make it sure that the rent that is payable by the builder is paid you in advance for the first 12 months
Okay.
by a single check. After that, they can have post-dated checks for the next 12 months.
So viewers, you have got a complete clearance on what rent you have to pay and what rent you have to get from the developer, to be precise.
As well as, I will stress upon escalation in rent. If the project is delayed by ABCD reasons, they need to have an escalation, because real estate prices today, we know in Bombay or any
Are exorbitantly getting higher day by day.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So if today I am deciding, for example, if I am deciding I'll be paying 25,000 as a developer, I'll be paying 25,000. As a consumer or as a member of the society, I know this rent is going to escalate.
Correct.
So probably today I can estimate कि next 2 years में it will go up to 25,000 or 28,000. But what after that?
So the rent agreement has to be signed before the redevelopment?
The development agreement will be signed, the first and foremost thing. Then the power of attorney will be signed. Then individual permanent alternate accommodation agreements will sign.
Okay.
And the rent clauses and everything has a mention in the development agreement as well as in the permanent alternate accommodation agreement.
So once the rent is fixed, that's going to be the rent for the years to come.
For the years to come, you can definitely provide for escalation. For example, you can say after 2 years, I'll have a 10% escalation.
Okay.
I'll have a 20% escalation.
Okay.
So if I'm being paid 25,000 for the first 24 months, I want a 10% escalation, which will be 2,500. So from the third year onwards, I'll be paid 27,500. And you can fix up the escalation like after 6 months, okay, it will again be increased by 10%. It can again be increased by 10%.
Can you also give a small highlight about these certificates, commencement certificate, OC, IOD? Can you just talk about these certificates?
Well, these are the necessary approvals and sanctions that are required to construct any building.
Okay.
For example, today a development agreement is signed between the society and the developer. That developer will go ahead and apply for sanctioning of plans.
Okay.
Those sanctions come through with a document known as IOD, Intimation of Disapproval.
Okay.
In that, the corporation will give a list of covenants that the developer needs to comply with.
Okay.
Once he has complied with all those things, then the developer goes ahead and files for a CC, which is a commencement certificate.
True.
So this is done after the building is demolished. This shows that now he can commence with construction of the new building.
Okay.
So even CC doesn't come in a complete package. It doesn't come for the entire building together.
Correct.
So the first CC will be till plinth.
Correct.
So the developer can go construct up till the plinth.
Correct.
After the plinth is constructed, he has to go back to the corporation. The corporation officers will come to the site. They will check whether everything is in order.
Okay.
Then they will extend the CC.
Oh, okay.
Maybe to the second level.
It's an entire process of certificates to come.
Absolutely. What should be seen from this is the approval for all the for loading of the FSI, TDR, fungible FSI and everything is already taken.
Okay, okay. Well, viewers, you have got a brief knowledge about the certificates that have to be in action when you go for the process of redevelopment. We are going to take a short break and we are going to be back and we are going to know more about TDR. Stay tuned. We'll be back. Welcome back to Legal Angle. We are having an awesome informative time with Advocate Ankita Verma. Well, can you tell our viewers about TDR?
Well, whenever we are going ahead for construction, the first thing you have to note is what is the available FSI, which is the floor space index.
Okay.
So if you have a plot of 1000 meters, the FSI is available is 1. So you can construct 1000 meters vertically after leaving the open space and everything.
Okay.
But with this FSI, you can even load TDR, which you have to purchase from the market, which is additional construction area.
Okay.
Which is TDR stands for Transferable Development Rights.
Yes.
So you can purchase it from the market and load that TDR upon your FSI. So generally FSI is 1, TDR in case of housing societies. This changes when we are into CR2 zone or something of that nature. I'm talking about a normal case of redevelopment.
Can you give us a brief description about the fungible FSI?
About the fungible FSI, when we are loading the TDR, as I said, we have 1 FSI and 1 TDR. तो 0.33 आपको गवर्नमेंट एक प्रीमियम पे देती है, उसके आगे का परचेज करना पड़ता है मार्केट से. उसी के साथ साथ पहले क्या होता था कि a lot of builders used to utilize a lot of space which was free of FSI. जैसे बालकनी होती थी, पार्किंग स्पेसेस होते थे, बीच का पैसेज एरिया होता था,
एमिनिटीज एरिया,
हाँ जो एमिनिटीज एरिया होता था, फ्लावर बेड्स होते थे, ये सब चीज़ें लोग एक्सटेंड कर देते थे, तो ये FSI वगैरह में इंक्लूड नहीं होती थी. टू ओवरकम दैट कॉन्सेप्ट, वो जो जिस तरीके से नॉर्मल लैंग्वेज में अगर हम लोग बोलें जो FSI वायलेशंस वगैरह, उस टाइम पे वायलेशंस नहीं थे, दिस वाज लीगल, बट उस चीज़ को कर्ब करने के लिए गवर्नमेंट ने फंजिबल FSI का रूल निकाला, विच ऑल्सो इंसेंटिवाइजेस कि आप एक्स्ट्रा एडिशनल एरिया बिल्ड कर सकते हैं. तो 0.7 का एरिया जो है वो गवर्नमेंट एट अ चार्जेबल प्रीमियम आपको 0.7 और देती है. तो सपोज अगर ये तीनों कंपोनेंट्स आप साथ में मिला दें तो जो आप 1000 मीटर्स कंस्ट्रक्ट कर सकते थे वो 1 हुआ, प्लस 1 विच इज 2, प्लस 0.7 2.7. तो आप 1000 मीटर्स की जगह पे 2700 मीटर्स कंस्ट्रक्ट कर सकते हैं.
ओके, सो इट हैज बिकम better than the previous.
Yes, in a sense it is definitely better than what the laws were previously because we are learning. बट उसी के साथ साथ ये इस चीज़ के लिए भी यूज़फुल है क्योंकि अगर ये चीज़ सोसाइटी मेंबर्स को पता है, they can definitely negotiate for a better area, for a better additional area that they will be getting after redevelopment.
So viewers, you got to be very, very careful when you're applying for this bit of TDR and FSI, because you know there's a lot of benefits in your hand that the developer has it with him, and you must be in a loop where you do not know things, but now you're getting it in your hands. Well, can you also tell us, when the society goes for a registration, what does every individual member have to sign to get her new house?
Generally, registration,
agreements.
The permanent alternate accommodation agreement. So what happens is, once the permanent alternate accommodation agreement is signed, that acts as the title document for the member in respect of the new house which will be coming up in the building. तो अगर हम लोग normally जाते हैं कहीं घर खरीदने के लिए, we execute an agreement for sale.
Correct.
Under which there are clauses. Similarly, we execute a permanent alternate accommodation because here we won't be paying anything for it. What we are exchanging is our current area for the new area. तो इसीलिए हम लोग जो टाइटल डॉक्यूमेंट होता है, जो मेन डॉक्यूमेंट होता है जिससे हम बोल सकते हैं कि ये घर हमारा है, that is what is known as the permanent alternate accommodation.
Okay. With your occupation certificate in BCC, when do these come in picture? Do they come with the redevelopment?
Generally, whenever we are going ahead with any kind of construction activities on a plot, you need to know that a building is going to be constructed for plinth plus whatever the ground plus 7 floors. After 7 floors are completed, how does a member or a layman determine whether the building is complete?
Correct.
and it is free of violations. That the government will not come back and say ki, okay, this is not in accordance with the sanctioned plans. So the government issues an occupation certificate. Everyone must take it into consideration that they should not accept possession without the occupation certificate.
But this would be for the new project. But even in the case of
redevelopment, when we are saying commencement certificate, once the entire building is constructed, the developer has to go ahead and apply for an OC, which is an occupation certificate, which suggests that the building is now in a habitable condition. People can occupy it. That is why it's called the occupation certificate.
Correct. What happens to the occupation certificate that was prior to the new occupation certificate that the member is getting?
With the IOD, that occupation certificate, once a building is demolished, the premises are not in a habitable condition.
True.
You cannot stay there,
True.
right? So that OC is of no relevance except for the plans which were annexed to the previous OC, which are very useful during deciding who the developer will be.
So technically you're trying to tell me that the previous OC, occupation certificate, would not be viable because now they have applied for a new OC.
Yes, absolutely. A new OC will have to come into play.
Okay, wonderful. Well, can you also tell us about the entire redevelopment structure, like slab-wise, and how it helps the society members in gauging their strengths?
Once the terms of development have been decided and once the society members vacate the premises, they just need to assess whether the building is being properly made in accordance with the sanctioned plans, which is where the PMC again plays his role. In keeping a check on the builder as to whether the slabs are coming in properly,
and guiding the members too.
Yes, whether the structure of the building is okay. You go in for redevelopment when your building is generally in a dilapidated condition.
Correct.
Right? You do not want to go under redevelopment again, probably 15 years down the line. You want a strong structure. So you have to take into consideration whether the material which is used by the developer is of good quality. So all those things need to be taken into consideration.
Correct. Well, viewers, we have discussed a couple of issues today. First starts with the structure of redevelopment, after which we talk about the project management consultants that come on board to help you to make a wise decision to select a builder. After which we have also spoken about certificates. We have spoken about your CC, your commencement certificate. We have spoken about your IOD. We have spoken about occupation certificate. And we have many more issues to discuss in redevelopment. But for now, I would like to thank Ankita Verma for highlighting us on these major issues of redevelopment.
Thank you.
We have highlighted many issues on redevelopment and we are going to highlight more issues in our coming episode. Till then, stay tuned on Spin TV.